Welcome to Life is for Living. I'm your host, Kylee Buckley, and I'm here with David J Riddell from the School of Living Wisdom. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Let's talk today about guarding your enthusiasm. Because if you lose it, everything else can go down with it. Really?
Enthusiasm is foundational to progress, to success, and to building any kind of family, home, or enterprise. So, because it is so foundational, Kylie, we should value it. And if we value it, we should guard it. Because enthusiasm isn't bulletproof, it's quite vulnerable. I mean, listen to the sort of things that can kill enthusiasm: tiredness, exhaustion, discouragement, anger, fights, depression, conflict, failure, uh, downturns in the economy. All of these things can just have dire consequences for enthusiasm. And so that's why I consider it as something that needs to be guarded. You know, you can build a house with bricks and mortar, but you can't build a family without enthusiasm. You can build a church without a bus ministry or even a building, but you can't build a church without enthusiasm. You can build an enterprise, but you can't build staff morale without enthusiasm. And today, what I'm finding is that staff at school are losing enthusiasm for their calling and careers and vocations as teachers. They're going through the motions, and there's no real cohesion amongst the staff at big schools now. Everyone's just kind of surviving and doing their own thing if the principal is not building morale amongst the staff. I'm reminded of that poster: the floggings are going to continue until morale improves. Now, there's a problem there, isn't there? I wonder if you've picked it. There are some things you cannot do to improve enthusiasm, and floggings are probably pretty high on the list. So, what are we doing? We're learning to teach our mind to be our friend, so that our mind doesn't attack us, disqualify us, discourage us, minimize us, to accuse us of being frauds, accuse us of not knowing our business. You can't have enthusiasm if your own mind is giving you stick 24/7. I go to sleep with an enthusiasm, I wake up with an enthusiasm for the day. And if I have one of those disgusting dreams that leaves me waking up feeling bad or drained or frightened or anxious, first thing I do is renounce the dream. And what I mean by that is I say, thank God my dream does not represent reality. What does represent reality is the mood and the attitude I decide to take. And I can afford to be optimistic about the day, Kylie, because I have a strong faith in a good God. I have a strong faith that all failures are just feedback. And I have a strong faith that every setback is for learning. Now, who's going to stop me with beliefs like that?
Nice.
That encourages persistence. And without enthusiasm, you can't be persistent. But if you're scared of failure, you can't persist either, because all progress entails failure. So I've made friends with failure. I've made friends with getting it wrong again and again. For me, it's all for learning and it's all for feedback. And so my wife looks at me sometimes, she shakes her head. She said, "You're just unstoppable, aren't you?" And I said, "Hallelujah. That took me 30 years to get there."
Wow.
Because, yeah, like any child, I was emotionally unstable, and like any child, I was a quitter, and I quit far sooner than I should. And so I didn't pursue things for very long before I gave up on them. And the reason for that is because I didn't know how to guard my enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm an old man now, but I've recently taken up about one of the hardest instruments you can ever learn to play. And I got to tell you that I would not have persisted this long with the violin if I had have taken failures to heart and taking my mistakes too personally.
Mm-hmm.
But through the process of learning to guard my enthusiasm, nothing stops me now. And I've noticed that instead of going to the far end of the house when I practice my violin, my wife is happy to sit, well, not right beside me, but, in the next room. That's got to be progress.
It has to be progress.
Yeah. And when my car broke down, and being a hobby engineer, I took everything to bits to try and fix it and made it much worse and had to pay a much bigger bill to get it all repaired, the things that I had repaired to be repaired properly. I could have got very demoralized about that, but I learnt so much taking that motor to bits.
Nice.
And I didn't learn don't touch it, take it to a mechanic. I learned how to diagnose engine faults. So that turned into a plus.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can entertain myself, if not other people, with the violin, and I can fix my own car and I can grow my own veggies.
Mm-hmm.
And all because I learnt that without enthusiasm, I'm not going anywhere. So I need to train my mind to become my friend. And
Mm-hmm.
if you ask me what living wisdom is, I would say it is very powerful techniques to teach your mind to always be on your side. That doesn't mean positive thinking, it means constructive thinking. It means that, yeah, I still grieve, I still have moments of sadness, but I don't give in to depression and I don't give in to despair and I don't give in to anxiety and I don't give in to fear.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because my mind is constructing ways through it or out of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And today I had a fault develop in my caravan. It was short circuiting, and I could not find that fault. So I sat down with my diagnostic manual and I said, here's a chance to sharpen up my differential diagnostic training that every doctor has to do. And so I began by pulling plugs. And when I finally got to the culprit and I pulled that out, it stopped shorting. And so I was quite proud of myself because I fixed that where an electrician hadn't been able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can make you feel good. I can run a week on that feeling that it was victory. And I'm hoping that I can turn every failure into, well, I can milk it for all the learning it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
You like that?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's how
Yeah,
you grow, isn't it?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you've got in your manual here some points, and I'd like to quickly go through them with you. The first one is to remember to recreate often and regularly.
Well, all work and no play makes David a dull boy. Or was that Jack? The point is that when you become a workaholic, you lose your zeal, you
Mm.
lose your chutzpah, you lose your, the lead falls out of the pencil because you're just too tired, or you're just too exhausted, or you're just stale. So a change is as good as a holiday.
Mhm.
And that's another reason for buying a tent or a caravan or a motorhome or just getting away for the weekend. Change of scenery, change of pace, have a sleep in, have two sleep ins, go and cook some mussels on the beach or fry some bangers and just do something quite different. Get some outside air, get recharged. I love running the mountains. I get up into the mountains and run through the bush tracks, and I can go for weeks on a good bush track run. I used to walk, but it took too long. So now my hobby is mountain running. And I'd like to spend the last 5 years of my life running the mountains. I think that'd be great. They say that if you can run the mountains, you're not ready to die.
Yeah.
I tell you what, after some of those runs, I'm ready to die, all right.
Funny. Okay, number two, do reality checks on your expectations.
Well, it's horrible trying to chase the pot of gold It's awful trying to, catch three birds and getting none of them. It's awful aiming to get fit in 6 weeks when it actually takes about 3 years to get running fit anyway. If you just set those expectations to an unrealistic level, you're going to fall over. You're going to hurt yourself. The rungs in the ladder must be close together. When my students start building the rungs of ambition and goal setting, I keep saying to them, keep the rungs close together. Your aim is not to save $10,000. Your aim is to save $500. Your aim is not to start out buying a brand new car. Your aim is not to start out building your own home when you get married. Your aim is not to do a world cruise before you're 30. You need to set realistic goals and stop setting yourself up for disappointment and failure. You're not bipolar, are you? That's the way of the bipolar. Hyper optimistic one week, and then in the blues the next week because they couldn't reach where they wanted to reach, and they spent all the money they had trying to do it, and now they haven't met the goal and they haven't got any money. So they plunge, and then after a while they get super excited about something and away they go again, only to plunge again. It's very, very heartbreaking to watch a bipolar at work. They really are their own worst enemy.
Okay, number 3, don't lose sight of your long-term goal or become disillusioned with God.
Well, they say two stonemasons were building a cathedral, and one described his job as hacking away at this bloody stone that won't give every day, just like a criminal and a convict. And he hated his job. And the other stonemason, he said, I'm building a building for all of time that will bring glory to God, my Creator. And I'll be able to say that I had a part of that. And my children will be able to see every stone I've laid forever and ever. Which of them had the right vision? Which of them kept the nose to the grindstone but watching the stars? And it's the same with a university assignment. It's the same with writing an essay. It's the same with digging a garden. One person's turning over dirt. The other person is providing vegetables for his entire family. Yeah. And as I wrestle with my musical instrument, I think, okay, I'm not just trying to get notes right. I'm actually trying to serenade my own soul and maybe the souls of others in times to come. So I don't lose track of the big picture. And when students run on deadlines, they wonder why they lose enthusiasm for education. For many of them, finishing a degree has been the worst experience in the world, and that's just tragic. That time to learn should be the best time in their lives. But what are they doing? They're just trying to meet deadlines, and the joy of learning died years ago. That education is not successful. I don't care if they get a PhD. It may as well be a post-hole digger's degree because they did not enjoy the learning.
Yes, because, once you reach your goals, it's easy to actually get disillusioned because you've done that now. So, and I've been there and done that in business. So then I duplicated myself and then got into, set up similar businesses. But it's not the goal that matters, although we need to keep an eye on it. It's the journey getting there. That's the exciting part. Was for me.
And if you're going to take on a degree or a master's or a PhD, boy, you better get your enthusiasm sorted because you're not going to last the distance if your enthusiasm drains away. You're going to quit or pull out sooner or later.
Okay. 4, tidy the workbench. Don't keep working in scrambled messes.
Well, people think that work is easier if you just keep producing and don't worry about the maintenance and the tidying and the organisation. But I find myself that if I keep up with the organisation, if I keep the paperwork up, if I keep the sharpening of the tools and the labelling of the drawers and the files organized, work is so much easier. Some people can work in a mess, but their work always suffers. The people who can't work in a mess know perfectly well that if you've got an hour to do a job and you spend half an hour looking for the blinking files, the papers, and the tools, it's not enjoyable. So before you get anything else, get organized. Get some drawers, get some cupboards, get some cabinets, get some marking labels, get some pens, and get some shelving and get organized. It's really hard not to work in a mess if you haven't got the basic shelves and desks and cabinets you need.
And create good habits. Always put things back where they belong.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm working on that one. It's a work in progress. But my wife has taught me a good little truth coach. It goes like this, David. Don't put it down, put it away.
I like that one too.
My comeback is, hey, I can't put it away until I'm finished with it, and I'm never finished with it.
Uh,
Then I get the look.
Funny. Okay, number 5, grab the reins of your life by getting the steps of your goals crystal clear. It's important.
No one climbs a ladder with only 2 rungs in it, do they? You need a lot more rungs. If you're staring at a goal that you can't get to, my suggestion is you haven't got enough rungs in your ladder. Save $100, save $1,000, get a driver's license, write the first chapter of the book, enroll in the first class, get started, do something, show up, and then just keep putting more rungs in the ladder and you'll get there. I used to think that a PhD was out of this world, and then I realized that it's mostly about showing up every morning.
Yes. Number 6, make friends with your unbearable feeling.
Well, we've talked a fair bit about that one already, but what I would say is as long as there's an unbearable feeling between you and your dream, then your dream will remain a dream. Yeah, because you've got a dragon guarding the entrance to that cave. You've got a dragon guarding the gate to that garden. You're not allowed in as long as you won't slay the dragon. And the dragon could be making a fool of yourself. It could be failure. It could be the rejection of somebody you love. But everyone's got a dragon between them and their dream. And I know that because if they didn't, it wouldn't be a dream. It would have already been achieved.
So true, so true. Okay, number 7, get beyond obligation thinking.
Yeah, obligatory thinking is a pain. Obligatory thinking means that you never really get ownership of what you're doing. You're turning up out of obligation. You're doing the bookwork out of obligation. You're keeping the appointments out of obligation. You're putting on a happy face and pretending enthusiasm, but actually your body's taken a wrong turn. You're not even where your heart is. And if you're interested in this topic, go back and have a listen to the one that we did on burnout, because there I want to talk straight and clearly to people whose heart and body have parted company, and now they're in real trouble. They're stuck, they're stalled, and they're in burnout.
Yes. Number 8, clear up your bad conscience.
Bad consciences cause moral hemorrhaging. As long as you've got a bad conscience about something, you're living in regret. And that regret demoralizes. Guilt demoralizes. Do something about it. If there's something you have to put right, if you know you've shafted somebody, screwed somebody over, if you know that you're not the person you present to be, that undermines your moral force and the strength of your charisma. People with a bad conscience can't have good charisma. Why? Because their own mind is attacking them and accusing them, and they have to live in denial just to survive it, Kylie. And living in denial to survive your own conscience is quite exhausting.
Mm,
It's quite draining.
mm,
Innocence brings with it energy. Guilt brings with it despair and failure. So keep a good conscience. And if you know you've shafted somebody or there's something that has damaged your own innocence, you better stop, back up, and do something about it. It's not worth keeping on trucking in denial to pretend you're okay and everything in the house is rosy, because it's not.
mhm. Yes, deal with it and then you can move on. Number 9, finally, be much, much more gentle on yourself.
I like to encourage people to be kind to themselves. And what they hear is, you need to let yourself off the hook over everything. And I didn't say that. I said you can be honest and you can front up to your mistakes and failures, but you need to be kind to yourself. Um, Jesus said to his disciples, my yoke is not the heavy yoke of the rabbis that you know. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. And sometimes I find Christians really down to it, and they're carrying a very heavy yoke of self-righteousness or obligation or guilt. I say, God is kind. If he's not, there's no hope for any of us. So you need to be kind to yourself as well. I love the line on Steel Magnolias, the drama. She says, you know, it's a cloudy, grey old day. It's obvious to me that God isn't trying very hard today, so I don't need to either. I like that. Some days you just need to relax, chill out, and be gentle on yourself, and know that actually to be human is to be vulnerable. And sometimes you've just got to celebrate the fact that what the heck, I didn't get it all sorted, and neither do I need to. Sometimes good enough is just good enough.
Mhm. And another thing with managing your enthusiasm would be to celebrate the small things. Celebrate the little rungs on the ladder as you get
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
We did that. We did that. Now on to the next one.
yeah, yeah. I
Acknowledge
like
it.
that.
Because that builds enthusiasm as well.
Yeah, Kiwis aren't very good at celebrating themselves. They're not very good at celebrating their triumphs. We're sort of taught to be laid back, dour, self-effacing. But I think there's got to come a time, when you kick up and say, hey, let's do something memorable. This is a big moment.
Yeah.
Let's go and skite our child's success. Let's go and celebrate that our son got his driver's license, or our daughter passed her university entrance, whatever. Let's just do something to mark it. Let's celebrate it. That's great.
Yeah, it's important. It's important
Build,
to do that.
builds morale.
Yes, it does. And it keeps you chugging along. Thank you, David. Another awesome session on life is for living, guys. Manage your
Hey,
enthusiasm.
my pleasure. Thank you, Kylie.
Bye.